Now don't let me lose you. There's a fundamental difference between paying and discharging a debt. To pay a debt, you must pay with the value or substance. Example, gold, silver, you barter, or it's a commodity. With FRNs, you can only discharge a debt. You cannot pay a debt with a debt currency system. You cannot service a debt with a currency that has no backing in value or substance. No contract in common law is valid unless it involves an exchange of good and valuable consideration. Unpayable debt transfers power and control to sovereign power structures that has no interest in money, law, equity, or justice because they have so much wealth already. They don't have no interest. Their lust for power and control since the inception of the central banking system, they have controlled the fate of nations and wars, including the wars that we're in. The Federal Reserve System is based on the canon law and the principles of the sovereignty protected in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights of the United States. In fact, the international bankers used a canon law trust as their motto, adding stock and named it Joint Stock Trust. The U.S. Congress had passed a law making it illegal for any legal person to duplicate a joint stock trust in 1873. The Federal Reserve Act was legislated post facto to 1870, although post facto laws are strictly forbidden by the United States Constitution. Now figure that one. Yet again, I don't want to lose you, but why should we care? Well, first of all, this is about our money, our country, and the lies that has been imposed upon us as citizens. The Federal Reserve System is a sovereign power structure separate and distinct from the federal United States government. Period. The Federal Reserve is a maritime lender, a maritime insurance underwriter to the federal United States, operating exclusively under maritime law. The lender or the underwriter bears the risk, and the maritime law compelling specific performance, impairing the interest or premiums which are due the same. Assets of the debtor can be also hypothecated, which is defined as to pledge something as a security without taking possession of it. Now, the Federal Reserve Act stipulated that the interest on the debt was to be paid in gold, not paper. There was no stipulation in the Federal Reserve Act for ever paying the principal. In 1933, the federal United States hypothecated all the present and future properties, assets, and labor of their subjects via the 14th Amendment to the Federal Reserve System. In return, the Federal Reserve System agreed to extend the Federal United States Corporation, yes, corporation, all the credit, money substitute it needed. Like any other debtor, the federal United States government had to assign collateral and security to their creditors as a condition of the loan. Since the federal United States didn't have any assets, they assigned the private property of their economic slaves, the United States citizens, as collateral against the unpayable federal debt. They also pledged the unincorporated federal territories, national park forests, birth certificates, and non-for-profit organizations as collateral against the federal debt. All has already been transferred as payment to the international bankers. Check your sources, check your history. Now I want you to stay with me now. Unwittingly, America has returned to its pre-American Revolution, the feudal roots, whereby all land is held by a sovereign and the common people had no rights to hold title to the property. Once again, we the people are the tenants and sharecroppers, renting our own property from a sovereign and in guise of the Federal Reserve Bank. We the people have exchanged one master for another. Why don't more people own their properties outright, or people own property, period? Why are 90% of Americans mortgaged to the hilt and have little or no assets after all debts and liabilities have been paid? Why does it feel like you and I are working harder and harder and getting less and less? We are reaping what has already been sowed, and the results of the harvest is a painful bankruptcy and a foreclosure on American property, precious liberties, and a way of life. Few of our elected representatives in Washington, D.C. have dared to tell the truth. The federal United States is in bankruptcy. Our children will inherit this unpayable debt and the tyranny to enforce it. Now, America has become completely bankrupt in world leadership, financial credit, and its reputation for courage, vision, and human rights. Now, prior to the Obama administration, Now, we can't overlook that he's a man of color. Naturally, that plays into the cards, and it helps us with foreign friends that are of color. But let's look outside the box. This is an undeclared economic war, bankruptcy, and economic slavery of the most corrupt order. Okay? He's a tiny part of the whole global scale. He's being led also to do things. Remember, we don't own ourselves. Okay? So we got people that we got to report to. Wake up, family, friends in America. Take action now. Don't just be led. Take back our country. Oh, and my foreign friends, please, please do the same. Before I conclude this show, let's speak about income tax. We should always be mindful that the Congress is the key. Congress votes to spend the money. Congress gives the IRS its power. Congress gives the IRS its own budget. Congress is elected by the people, for the people. The IRS is a decoy. I end by saying, don't just sit and say, oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord. Get off your ass and fight for our kids and our future generations, because our present will get much worse before it gets better, regardless of the feel-good spin of the media and the government. I love this country. I still serve this country. I am a two-time veteran. I have fought for the defrauded propaganda, and I thought that we stood for something better than what's going on right now. I want the rights for every United States citizen, which includes universal health care. We will never be perfect, but we can do much better than sitting on our asses as a citizen and opinionating, philosophizing, and wishing. We can fight for our rights as humans and citizens, our land of sweet liberty. I end by saying a quote from David Rockefeller. We are on the verge of global transformation, and if all we, the Council of Foreign Relations, need is the right major crisis, and the nations will accept the New World Order. This is an end quote by David Rockefeller. Who is he? He's the founder and chairman, and honorary chairman of the Council of Americas. He's the chairman of the Americas Societies. He's the founder of the Forum of the Americas. He's the chairman emeritus of the Council on Foreign Relations, the CFR. He's the founder and honorary chairman of the Trilateral Commission. He's the chairman of the Bilderbergs. Figure it out. Once again, I want to wish everybody a happy new year, going into this new decade. As most people are saying, the 20 dime instead of 2010. But always remember, open your mind, set your mind free on things that are not of the norm. Find truth, your truth, our truth. Just fight. Be well, people, and thanks for listening. Peace.